Hello, everybody. Hope you're all okay. Oh, good morning, Margot, and welcome to Random Talks. Like, there's so much that me and Tammy haven't discussed because we've not been on live together for a few weeks. It feels like forever.
I know it does. It really does.
In reality, it's
It
only
just feels
been like a
odd.
few weeks. I know
I
it
know,
does.
but
It
so much
was.
can happen. That's the thing. So much can happen in just even a few days, much less a few weeks, that you just feel like you're totally lost. So, yeah, it feels like forever.
No. Well, I didn't really advertise this stream apart from I've only just put it on Twitter and just shared it in the Discord. So everybody will hopefully turn up soon. We've got a few people here though. But what have you been following, Tammy? In the regarding
It's been hard to follow much of anything. That's what I think I said to somebody on the stream last night. Like with live streams and stuff. Oh, Gail had told me what Rob had said because I've got the stream saved. I just hadn't been able to watch it. But a lot of times when I'm laying in bed with the baby, after she goes to sleep, I will lay there and try to listen to stuff and catch up. So, I feel like I'm so far behind. I mean, I hadn't even got to read the stuff that came out with the answers from the ACLU or to the ACLU or
yeah.
whatever, the last couple of days. I've got them pulled up, just haven't got to read them yet,
I
and
know I need
that's,
to read them too.
yeah. And so it's like I'm playing catch up, and every time feel like I'm like, oh yeah, I've caught it. Oh shit, something else dropped, Dang it. So,
Good morning,
uh,
Erin and Tanya. Good morning.
hi, good
How's it?
morning.
Good morning on a Thursday. I keep losing my days. I blame Rob because he streamed on Tuesday and he normally does it on a Wednesday. So it's like I keep thinking it's Friday even though it's Thursday.
I
Hi, Susan
know.
Forden. Sorry.
Hi,
And hello, girl.
Gal.
He's trying to propose some tomatoes at girl.
Yeah.
A little troll.
Oh,
But
Gal's
I was
a
just,
trouble.
yeah, he is. I was just thinking, yeah, Rob did move the goalposts. It proper confused my mind. It's like because it's like my routine. It's every Wednesday now, and then he's just changed it. Like,
My little wings are acting silly.
but your upside down question mark.
Yeah, Rob has had me so confused. There for a couple of weeks. He streamed on Thursday, and then I just happened to be strolling through, and I'm like, "Do you watch Steve or Les video?"
I haven't
Brittany's.
yet.
No, I've got somebody sent me a link for it. And I just hadn't had the opportunity to watch it. I heard that it's pretty interesting, though.
Yeah.
And which didn't she speak in the in her conservatorship hearing? Was it yesterday? Is that what I saw?
I don't know. I've totally missed it. I've seen a few things pop up news articles, but I've not actually read anything yet. But it's something I am going to be looking into because it's important. What are we watching? What are you watching? I don't know. My telly's on quietly in the room, but that's it. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've heard bits and pieces about this with Britney Spears, but I hear it's pretty awful, and it makes sense. I mean, she's another example of just a victimized child, basically, that people take advantage of her for her talent, and has what Keely can read.
Can't read that first word. What's that supposed to say, girl? Hey, totally my dyslexia. I'll tell you.
But yeah, that was Brittany. I mean, it's just really a sad situation. People taking advantage of her for her fame and fortune, and It is.
It's all about a dad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I understand. And I don't want to call anything out that's wrong, but from what I understand, the dad has really just took advantage of the whole situation. You know, and it was the parents who pushed her into being a star to begin with. You know,
yeah, I heard that her dad was like pushing her to have contraception and all that, and you know.
And how old is she?
I don't know, because obviously I used to watch her when I was a kid. I used to have a Britney doll when I was like about 5. So she would have been at least a teenager then. I don't know what she is.
Yeah. You know, and then her little sister had that show. She was essentially a slave to her parents and the people who were supposed to be working for her, but she's paying them, but she's working with. Yeah, and that's what I understood was that, you know, I heard the dad. I didn't know that, you know, the mom was, you know, being as guilty. I didn't know, like I said, I don't know enough about it to really speak well to the situation. But yeah, it's a mess. It's really a mess.
Yeah, not just her dad. She wants to sue her mum and dad, her doctor. Oh, bloody hell.
Oh,
How awful is that?
Yeah, well, you know, I wondered because I didn't get to see that whole the video that came out. What was it? The one that kind of got all this kick started, I guess. And I noticed it as in the little bit that I got to see of it that it was the mom that was kind of taking her to, you know, to the tryouts and all that. So I wondered, you know, okay, does the mom play as big a role? Because I'd already heard that, you know, the dad was a lot of the issue, and I just never did get to see the rest of that video. So I was curious about that. Her manager blackmailed her. Wow.
She's 39. I just had a look, by the way. So she's like 11 years older than me.
Yeah, nice.
Which would be about right, because she was about 16, wasn't she, when she started?
Yeah. Well, no, she started out on Disney. She was a Mouseketeer.
Yeah.
She was, yeah. So, I mean, we're talking like 12, 13 years old, probably.
That's basically what we do, Aaron. You should look into be a soldier. We cover pop culture, you know, and it's about journalism, just different, you know. But the only difference is we actually tell the truth.
Yeah,
whereas mainstream media
not beholden to. Yeah, we're not beholden to any corporations. We are beholden to ourselves, and so you know that's the thing.
I know that Britney was like releasing loads of cryptic videos on Twitter, Instagram, and stuff, which was, you know, it was like a bit like going down the rabbit hole, you know. And when you're watching, you just feel so bad for her because she just looks so out and down. Do you know what I mean? Down and out.
Well, you know, that's one of the things that, you know, I wish more people would recognize, especially as kids that are wanting to, you know, become the celebrity or whatever. She won't speak out because she thought no one would listen to her. Oh gosh. The only reason she has took courage is because of her fans. Yeah, the Free Britney campaign. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. For some people, becoming famous and getting all that, you know, money or whatever, it's a wonderful thing. They don't have the horrible pitfalls. You know, you don't hear, is very few that you don't. But like with these kids, I just feel like that a lot of times it's the parents wanting to be famous.
Be right back, Tammy.
All right, yeah, and you know, it seems like, you know, you hear these stories over and over and over of these horrible things that ends up happening to these child stars, you know, and it's sad. It's really sad. I mean, if my daughter would have come to me and said, I want to be an actress, I probably would have said, we'll take lessons. You can be in local plays, whatever. But if you want to pursue that as a career, you'll wait till you're an adult. I'm just not going to. I refuse to be the stage mom or whatever, because you hear all these just god awful stories, and I mean it goes back to, like, you know, just think about Dorothy, Wizard of Oz. You know, you hear the stories about them putting her on diet pills at like 14 years old.
Oh, so sad.
And which I know, yeah, it was a different time, and they didn't quite, know all the risk and stuff, but still, come on, yeah. Oh, have you been working out or something, Susan?
Sending you
Or I
lots of
hope
love,
nothing happened.
Susan. I don't
Did something
know.
happen? Or okay.
Let
I
us
hope
know,
it's that you're
Susan.
just sore from working out, not sore from an accident or anything. What you eating? Oh, that was good. Yes. Trouble wear a yellow top on your next video. Gosh. That's so sad. Which it's really great that her fans were loyal enough that they recognized there were issues going on with her. I was not. I'm old. I'm of a different generation. My daughter was a fan. My daughter was more of a fan of her sister. She was on that little show that my little girl used to watch all the time. Little girl, grown woman now, but so she was kind of, knew that, oops, I did it again, knew about her and Kevin Federline, but I was not a big enough fan to be, so I'm just finding out about all this. I'm glad that she has such a loyal fan base that recognized there was something wrong.
Me too.
I mean, you don't say that a lot of times. A lot of you watch any of it. I mean, you could name so many of these celebrities, especially child stars, who really need a green screen.
No, I don't care. You can look at my pink and grey wall.
I want a green screen. I do. I want a green screen to hide the
We can
crap
put a green
behind me.
screen on here, but it doesn't work. I don't know if you've seen it, like if you've tried to do it.
Yeah, I hadn't even tried it. I saw something about it, but I didn't try it. I was just like, I'll end up knocking myself out of here, so I'm not gonna fool with it.
It's on right now, but it just makes me go take a look. Like, but you can't see it. But basically, this you gotta be able to put a finger on that, like something.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't cut properly in my.
Yeah, you're cutting out big time. So if it's that green screen, that's what's doing it.
Yeah. Everything just makes me
Now I want to buy a green screen and put behind me and use, because I'd like to be able to do this in different places besides just right here. It's just this is the easiest place to do it from. It's less interruption, but it would be nice to have some options to do it different places. I think she started. She was on the Mickey Mouse Club with Justin Timberlake. I forgot about Christina Aguilera and Justin Timberlake. I knew Justin Timberlake, but I'd forgot about it. Yeah, she was hi. She started out on Mickey Mouse Club, and I know most of y'all are probably too young to remember, but there used to be the show with Ed McMahon, and I forget what it was called.
I am not that pink.
It was kind of one of those first, like before American Idol, like where you want to be a star, and she sang on that. And she's pink and gray. But I've seen video of it, and I remember that show. I can't remember the name of it right now. It's, fibromyalgia, senior moment, whichever, blonde moment, whatever you want to call it, brain fart. But I do remember her being in the show. Oh, yeah. I have those.
Have you seen this? Apparently, my wall matches my skin tone.
It does kind of, yeah. Yes,
I don't think I'm that pink, though.
I'm definitely not that pink. Which I can change my light and make it a little more, and make it look like I got a tan. I've lost what little I had when I went to the beach.
I do have a tapestry, but when I put my tapestry up, I have to mess about and move my table, and I can't be bothered. So you're just going to have to put up with me pink and grey for now, I suppose.
I still have my upside down question mark.
No, at least it's changed shape now, because it used to look like something else.
It looked something very vulgar before. I don't know why. And that's the
It
thing.
looked like
I've
an
not moved
angel.
it. I've not touched it. Yeah.
It was
Didn't
like an angel, and then it turned into something else.
vulgar. Now it looks like an upside down question mark, which that makes a lot of sense over my head. A question mark. What? Yeah.
This person just wants to troll me, I think.
Snooty Pants McChaw. I love the name.
No, me too. I've got a feeling it could be Gelf, to be fair.
It very well could be. Yeah. I like the name though. Snooty Pants McChaw.
It's a cool name.
Yes. Thank you.
I have a tapestry elephant thing. It's lovely. I'm putting it on fabric studs and attached to a art. Well, I'm going to try. Well, if you do it, my God, keep us up with the progress. It is Scarf, that, by the way, but I can tell by the next comment. But I think it is anyway. But if you do that, Margot, keep us up with your progress.
Yeah.
And the hobbies on my Discord.
Yeah.
Keela, did you tell Tammy about Kat's obvious video from? And then the next comment says, I'm not this Gelf person. Who is he?
Are you talking about the stream that Gelf and Obvious and Fanta and Hen went on and did after my stream last night?
I don't know.
I'm not looking at my laptop. Don't have it on, so I don't know if that's the video you're talking about.
Tell by the what woman? Because I could tell by.
Kelsey, you're so bad.
I know.
Even I know it's you, and I'm not even looking. I'm just saying what she puts up.
Yes, he's saying. I think he's on about the stream.
I actually told Keely about that just right before we came on, that y'all went on and streamed last night. How long did you go?
How long did you stream for? I mean, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
After me and Gary came off Tammy's stream, we've just chilled out, watched Loki. Really good, by the way. I really enjoyed it. It's like Doctor Who, a bit. You like it, I think. You like Doctor Who?
Yeah, I understand. My daughter didn't even realize I had Disney Plus till the other day. She's like, she was in my room. Shouldn't have been her and my young aunt Granny babies in my room, and it's like, so how long have you had Disney Plus? I was like, since WandaVision started. She was like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, you didn't ask. Done good to know that. I forgot I had it. About an hour or so. So, I bet that turned out to be a good stream. I didn't get to watch. I ended up falling asleep. Got 2 whole hours of sleep.
I was just going to say, when we was talking about Britney before, you remind me of Britney Spears with the
I thought about that. I was thinking about a while ago, didn't she have a video like where she had the pigtails? Was it the Oops, I Did It Again where she did, which hers were a lot longer, but I think in one of her videos she did the whole pigtails thing, and I think it's the Oops, I Did It. Play with your heart.
Gosh, you're taking me back to my childhood now.
Oh man, it takes me back a ways too. I mean, that's when I was still probably not much older than you around the time that song came out. Let's have to drink in this stream. The most important guest, this true Gelf, joined us, and wow, we got to see him playing with his pussy.
Oh God! Oh, I'm glad I missed that.
He even gave it a kiss.
Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, and for anyone who was in my stream last night that heard me tell the story about when we were talking about boys and them being very fond of the dogs they have. Well, if any of you were in my stream last night that heard that, I could not remember. I told the story about my nephew because we were talking about how little boys, they just fall in love with their little doodad.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what that makes. Oh, yuck. I'm not reading that one, Keely. You can't.
No, he's doing that because he knows I don't like that word.
I know. I don't blame you on that one. That was just. But I remembered this morning about an hour ago what my nephew used to call, because I told the story of how my sister calls me. She's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I said, what's wrong? She said, he's playing with it all the time. I'm like, well, don't little boys do that, because I didn't have a boy, but I pretty well, And she's like, yeah, but I'm kind of getting worried about him. I was like, why? She said, I walked in his room and he's standing there in his crib, and he's like, he's playing with it. And she said, what are you doing? And he's like, Mom, my Winkie's my best friend. I couldn't remember what he called it. It was his Winkie. And I am waiting till he brings home that special girl, and my sister's going to call me. I'm heading straight over to tell her the story of him and his Winkie being his best friend. That's how we'll know she truly loves him.
That's just what all little boys are like, though. That's just normal. And just kids in general, they're just curious. It's innocent, child innocence, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, I think about, it's an extra appendage basically that's sticking out on your body. I would imagine if little girls had them, they'd play with them too, because it's just something, and it's not something you talk about a whole lot. I would think. I don't know, when you're potty training, I didn't have to talk to Taylor about her privates. I just was like, you go potty, So it's not something that you talk about a lot. So of course it's an extra. There's something hanging there. Ooh,
just something to mess with, isn't it? But I don't think that guys ever. I don't think guys ever bloody lose that as they get older. I think it's always got their hands in the pants, and I don't mean in a rude way. I mean because they're just bleeding. Like ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
I mean, hey.
Pack it in.
Whatever makes you happy.
I know.
Don't do it in front of people. Do that alone. Nobody wants to see that.
TMI. You know what's so funny is that he came in with a different name, and how quick it took me to realise it was him.
I know. Did y'all see? I know this is totally on a different topic, but this has just had me. I flipped out here in this a little while ago. Okay, the guy that created the McAfee virus stuff. Yeah, it's a boy thing. Yeah. Apparently, he was in jail in a Spanish prison, but he was about to be extradited back to the U.S. for basically millions in tax evasion, and he's been on Twitter just going on and on about that. That the U.S. government's going to kill him, and that if something happens, if he commits suicide, he most definitely did not commit suicide. They found him dead in his cell yesterday morning.
Who's this?
The guy that created the McAfee virus protection. You know what I'm talking about?
McAfee virus. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's him. Apparently he was in a Spanish jail or prison, and the U.S. was going to be extraditing him for tax evasion, basically millions in tax evasion. And I think there's more to it as far as like something about cryptocurrency, hiding crypto, and all this stuff. And he had been going on and on Twitter talking about that, he'd been getting some strange messages from people in the U.S. government, and that if something happened to him, he most definitely would not kill himself. He would never commit suicide. And then they found him dead in his cell, I guess, yesterday morning. And apparently it started trending on Twitter that he Epsteined himself. And I'm like, holy shit. I mean, wow. Hi, Linda. Doing good. How about you? I just thought I find stuff like that just, wow.
Yeah, it is. The rabbit hole can go very deep sometimes, I think. Yeah. And sometimes you can get totally lost in it. especially with the deep dark stuff that goes on in Hollywood and that, like
Yeah. Well, and
like
apparently,
Satan groups and all that kind of stuff, like bloody hell,
yeah.
without the H.
Yeah. Well, apparently, after he, according to the timing, his last post on Instagram went up like after he would have been dead, according to what I was hearing in the video I was listening to. And it was just a big Q. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all. And somebody was saying in the video, they were talking about that supposedly he had said that, if something did happen to him, that he had a lot of information on stuff and that it would come out. And so people are like, oh, what's coming? So I don't know. You might want to watch that story. It might be something very interesting if anything comes of it. And it might be like Epstein. I mean, I'm sorry, I'll never believe that man killed himself. But, you didn't hear a whole lot after that. And, he supposedly blackmailed a lot of very important, very wealthy, very influential people. And then he supposedly killed himself.
Oh, it's scary though. Like Anne said,
It is.
scary. It's scary.
Yeah. And that, and it makes you wonder, it makes you wonder what's really going on. Yeah, there's so much corruption. Look at what the ACLU's do. I mean, there is just so much corruption. And, it goes back to that saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that's the thing. So many of these people in government and organizations and stuff, it's power and it's greed. And then when they get a little bit, they want more. And they're willing to do whatever to get more or to maintain what they have. And I'm fascinated by that mindset because for me, I'd do anything to protect my family. But as far as for money or for power, no, I'm happy. Yeah, I'd like to have more money. Yeah, I'd like to be able to do more things, but I'm not willing to do anything for it. So for that mindset, it fascinates me. That you're willing to do these things. You're willing to do morally, no matter what your beliefs are. There are certain things that across the board are morally horrific. Like murder, things like that. That no matter who you are, that's a horrible thing. But you're willing to do these things to get that mindset fascinates me.
Yeah, it fascinates me. Totally off subject, but on subject as well as we're talking about Hollywood. Have you noticed that the tides have started to turn in articles really to do with Johnny Depp? As soon as you search his name, like there's not even like they're getting drowned. Like Murdoch's newspapers are getting drowned out by all these ones that are backing Johnny Depp now. I've noticed.
I'm so glad because for so long, and as well as I do doing this, one of the ways we find our stories is by doing a Google search. Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. That's one of the. It's just one of the ways.
And the lies from what these newspapers are saying.
Yeah, and it's usually about 4 or 5 pages. That's about as far as I ever get. I don't know how many it goes, but there's at least always 4 or 5 pages, and some of the stories can go back to last year. But for the longest time, it was rare that you would see any kind of positive story about Johnny Depp. Very rare. But I have started noticing you're seeing more and more positive stories, and I think it's because I think the organizations that aren't run, because Rupert Murdoch does have a control on mainstream media as far as he's got the largest shares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he doesn't control all of it. And I think for the longest time, the other organizations were afraid to go against it because one, they didn't have the evidence, and so they weren't able to go loud with stories. And now it's like, well, the evidence is here. We're going to quit putting this shit out about him. That's lies, And one thing that bothers me though, especially since she started putting out the videos of her getting ready for Aquaman 2, I don't know if you've read several of these websites, I'm not going to call them news articles or anything, but they all say the same thing. Aquaman 2 is going to be a hit. These people that signed the petition, they're still going to go see the movie.
Yeah.
These Johnny Depp fans, they're a vocal minority. And it's like, prove them wrong, folks. Do not give Warner Brothers your money.
The only people
give them your money.
The only people who think are going to see it are the people who don't know what's going on, if that makes sense. The DC fans who don't know what's going on, who are not who don't know that this drama, whatever has happened. But like, I was just looking at the first page, and there's about 10 articles here, and I'm going to read one of them in a minute, but I'll just tell you what the titles are. First one, The Mirror: Johnny Depp and Alec Baldwin slam inhumane court system and gender bias against men. Cinema Blend: Johnny Depp's Pirates of the Caribbean co-star defense actor missed lawsuits with blah blah, obviously a turd. GOTV: Johnny Depp, Alec Baldwin slam family court system, claiming it's sexist against men. We Got This Covered: Pirates of the Caribbean star blasts Disney and Warner Brothers dropping Johnny Depp. And they very rarely do a positive one.
Yeah, they've got a new guy that's even outdoing Scott Campbell on being an Amber Heard stan. This David, I can't think of his last name, but I mean, he makes Scott Campbell look like an Amber Heard hater compared to the articles he writes. He's got his lips sewed to her little bony ass. I'm sorry.
This one, I don't know about. Johnny Depp, Alec Baldwin share their humiliating stories of divorce wars in court. That's by the News International. Inside the Magic, they've got Johnny Depp's Pirates co-star comes to his defense amid controversy. My London's, that's just about somebody else. It's about a soap star in the UK who worked alongside Johnny Depp, don't they? Pop Culture says Johnny Depp not voicing Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean Sea of Thieves, so it's about that. And then there's another one about Sea of Thieves by Rock Paper Shotgun, whoever they are. Last one, Daily Express: Johnny Depp is mischaracterized his Pirates of the Caribbean Pirates co-star and Fantastic Beasts. But before we carry on, before we read one of these articles, before we carry on this conversation, Tanya's got to go and she's asked you a question. Which was this about the McAfee thing.
I was actually listening to Tim Pool's Timcast. I listened to it while I'm getting ready, and I heard it on there. But from what I understand, the story is trending or was trending on Twitter about Epstein. And I quickly glanced at Twitter before we came on, and I did see something. I didn't read the story, but there is something about McAfee being found dead. So I know you can definitely find it in the trending on Twitter and on Tim Pool's Timcast. Where I heard it. Yeah, I heard it this morning while I was getting ready.
So, obviously, I'm going to read one of them articles in a minute, but what was you going to say before we interrupted, John?
Well, that's fine. All those articles that you read off, they're talking about Johnny Depp and Alec Baldwin. They're talking about Greg Ellis's new book coming out. Yeah, Johnny penned the intro and Alec Baldwin did the dedication. Is that right? I think. I can't remember now. But Greg Ellis's book comes out the 29th. And so, in fact, I did a video on it the day before Father's Day. It was kind of my Father's Day video because I had time to do it. And I left a link for anybody in the U.S. I left a link for Amazon, and then Witchy, love Witchy, because I was so frazzled, I didn't even think to do a UK link. She put a link in the comment section for UK for pre-ordering and buying that book. So, if you want to check it out, go check out that video and look in the comment section and in the description, and you can find links to buy Greg's new book.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely be buying that when I get some pennies.
Yeah.
Because I want to read that. But there's an article here about it, what I was going to read, that's about it's from The Mirror, which is one that I don't always really trust, but we'll go through it quickly anyway, because it's what we're talking about. Let me just turn this phone on 1 second. Johnny Depp and Alec Baldwin have opened up about their divorce battles in a new book written by British actor Greg Ellis. Johnny Depp and Alec Baldwin have opened up about their divorce battles in a new. I just read that bit. They've written it twice. You know when they do that.
They do that. Yeah, a lot. You have to kind of just scam.
Alec has written a preface, and Pirates of the Caribbean star Johnny has written the introduction to Respondents, the family law cartel, which will be released on June 29th. The book will look into Greg's own divorce and custody battle, in which he will argue that the family court system is old-fashioned and inhumane, and is ultimately shows sexism against men and fathers. Now, I know this to be true anyway, because my brother went through a thing with what you call it, his ex-partner, for custody of his son, and she basically lied in family court and said that she suffered DV, and he can't ever see his son now because she said that. They took her word for it, and he's tried to fight it, and she hasn't got no proof, but just for the fact that she's a woman saying this.
Well, hadn't Greg hadn't seen his kids in what, 2 years, I think?
Yeah.
I think, so, I mean, and he's fighting in the U.S., so, it's like that apparently, and it's like that everywhere. All you have to do is, I like what he says about, you're guilty until proven more guilty in family court, and that, especially if you're a man, that's the way it is. I mean, either one of us, if we, chose to, go to court against our spouse or whatever, all we'd have to do is go in and just be like, you hurt me, and they'd hand us, there'd be no questions asked.
The difference between me and her, though, my brother's ex-girlfriend, I was escorted to hospital with 5 police officers, with a big shiner on my eye. But my brother's not seen his son since he was less than a year old. He's got a daughter as well now, who he sees all the time. Just because she made these claims, but she was the one who was the crazy bitch, she would scream at him in the street and everything. She was horrible. But that's just the way it is. Obviously, I'm not going to dox and mention names or whatever. But it was just horrible the way that she treated him, and she wouldn't even let any of us see the little. I've not seen my nephew in the longest time. Like, I know that I can't. I feel like I deserve entitlement because it's not my. It's would be nice to know my nephew, I'm his auntie at the end of the day. I'm his flesh and blood. But this is true, what Greg Ellis is saying. It's very outdated. Many who are the ones who actually are the sufferers of DV, like when, and in some cases it's the female, the mom, who is the one who is doing what they're accusing their ex-partner of doing, or they're doing it out of spite because they're not getting enough of this or whatever.
Oh my God! When I divorced my daughter's dad, and which we got back together and everything, but at the time when we were apart, I had multiple women say to me, if he didn't pay child support, I wouldn't be letting him see that baby. And I'm like, the money is between me and him. As long as he wants to be a father to his daughter, I'm not going to be in a position when she grows up, if I keep her from him and her come to me, well, why didn't you let me see my dad? Well, he didn't give me my money. I that's not going to be on me. It'll be on him. If he chooses to be a father, I'll allow him to be. But, there was the situation. There was no situation of him being abusive to her or anything like that. So there was no reason for me to keep her from him. But, it just, I remember it amazing me at the time at how many women, and just over that, regardless of DV or anything like that, just, are willing to use their children as pawns over money. Like you just said, we give them enough money. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. A child, at the end of the day, the child's the one that suffers. The kid doesn't understand.
I don't want no money off my kid's dad at all.
Yeah.
And he's not allowed to see her because of safety reasons. But he had a chance to see her and he went worse. And you know what I mean? Like, he had a chance to get better at the time. He got worse. And threatened to set my house on fire. So it was not safe to have him around my kids, and I don't want his money because I'll do it all on my own. I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Like,
in your situation, it's different. There's a reason your children aren't around. There's a good established reason.
yeah.
But like you were talking about what your brother's ex did to him. There's no reason for him, especially, and I like that comment that you just had up about having him write to him. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that is a good idea, Matt.
Yeah,
sorry.
Acknowledge it. The child is the one that's going to be hurt because the child, I imagine, I'd be willing to bet a woman that's willing to do that to their ex and to their kid. I'd be willing to bet that, if the child was old enough that they're questioning, what happened to dad, she's probably, he's a sorry SOB, he did this, da, 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 and they're probably saying horrible things about him. So this kid, all they really understand is that, well, dad's a bad person.
Well, I don't say
either they don't get any answers, and then they grow up, and who's to say that he doesn't meet his kid later on in life, and the kid's like, well, screw you. You never came to see me, all because mom kept him away.
Well, sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say with my kids, because I get asked now and again after, and they literally grieve for the dad, and I just say to him that he's not well, because he's not.
And that's
I say he's not well, but he loves you. I tell him that he loves them, because he does. I say, your daddy loves you, but he's not well, and he can't be around us right now. And that's the only thing. When they're older, I'll tell them the truth of what happened, but I'm not gonna be calling him to them, because that's not fair. When I was a little girl, when I was 7 years old, my mum had to run away from my dad. My dad was a violent beast. Horrible. I had to run away whilst my dad was at work. We got picked up from school by my uncle, and we got moved to the other side of Manchester. And as a little girl, even though I knew my dad wasn't a good person, I still loved my dad. And for the longest time, my mum was calling my dad to us, and it built up this rebellions. When I was a teenager, I went back to look for my dad, because I didn't understand. Do you know what I mean? And he wasn't such a good person, because I was just all little girls love the dad, no matter what. All kids love the parents, even if the parents are shitty. You still love your parent, don't you? At the end of the day, I didn't cut my dad off until when I was in my 20s. Well, I'm in my 20s, but bloody hell, when I was in my early 20s, we went to the zoo. My dad is a really bad alcoholic, but he told me that he gave up the beer. He told me that he gave it up, and he wanted to take me and my daughter to the zoo. So I said, as long as you've given the beer, we'll go. And my eldest was only about 3. She was just about to start school. So halfway down the motorway, I had no money, by the way. He was paying for everything. I had no money at all. Halfway down the motorway, he pulled out a can of beer and started drinking. It was 9 o'clock in the morning. And I had to stay with him all day. By the time on the way home, he was shouting at his partner, nearly made a crash. So when I got home that day, because it gave me flashbacks to when I was a kid and my dad used to shout at my mum like that in the right way. I said, right, it's one thing if it's around me, but when it's around my daughter, that's where I draw a line. So I messaged him when I got home. I said, I love you and I always will, but how you acted in front of my child today is not okay. Don't ever contact me until you change and you get better, because I'm not having that around my kids. And that's where I drew the line. And because at the end of the day, it's one thing with yourself where you can be blind, but when it comes to your kids, you become that protective lioness. And it's like only I don't even know why I trusted that it got better, because only a few months before that, I was at my uncle's funeral. Obviously, we're Irish, a big, massive Irish funeral. And about a year before we went to that Zoom, and I'd fell out with him because at that funeral, he squared up. He got in my face and he squared up to me. And he's just an horrible person. I'm sorry, I go and did private, got a private life. But this is true. This sexism thing, and my whole point, what I was talking about, is because there is evil people out there. There's evil men. They don't deserve to be around their children. But the women who call their dad to their kids, and that was my whole point, is because it'll build up in. With my mum, she used to call my dad to us, and because I didn't understand that, it built up this thing that I love my dad. I didn't understand why my mum was calling him, and I went and searched for him anyway. And so it doesn't work. All it does is it makes your kid not like you because you're calling their dad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the best
exactly.
is to explain that daddy can't be around if it's a dangerous situation, for example. Explain that you got to think about the child's feelings. Forget about your own, that you don't like this person. That's their dad, that's their parent. And it's a different situation when they can see their dad. It's just your choice that you're not letting them because of money. But if they can, because of safety reasons, tell them that your dad loves them. Because the kid is going to miss the dad. I went through it and I missed my dad, even though he's a horrible person. Tell him that the dad does love him, and that he can't be a dad. He can't be in our family right now. You've just got to be as honest and open without actually telling him the stuff that they don't need to know until they get older. Obviously.
Yeah. There's no reason to put that on them at that age because, one, they're not mentally equipped to deal with it at that stage of life. And, two, when you sit there and you badmouth the ex-spouse over and over and over, sorry, SOB, it just, like you said, the kid only knows that that's my dad or that's my mom and I love them. They didn't do anything to me. So when you sit there and you do that over and over, and this child's not able to see the parent and they don't understand, when they get older, then they're gonna, if you don't, it just causes so many unnecessary emotions, unnecessary hurt. And like you said, all you've got to say is, right now, that parent, they love you, but they can't be in our family. And then when they're old enough, then you sit them down and you say, this is what happened. This is why I made the choices I made. And then you let the kid decide from there, because at that point, they should be old enough to decide whether they want to have the parent in their life. But to sit and keep a child away from the other parent because they didn't give you enough money, or because you just don't like them, or whatever.
On your girlfriend or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes it's out of spite because they've got a new girlfriend and they've moved on.
Yeah. These are not legitimate reasons to keep a child from their parent. And it goes back to, like, people saying to me, if he didn't give me child support, I wouldn't let him see it, baby. And I'm like, the money's between us. She has no need for money. It's not like I'm going to sit here and let her do without. Exactly. And even if it did keep me from being able to do something for her, the thing is, she don't understand that. All she knows is she wants to see her dad. I'm not going to not let him be a parent. Now, if he chooses not to be, or if the other parent chooses not to be a parent, then that's on them. But you give them the opportunity, as long as it's a safe situation, as long as you're not putting your kid in any kind of danger, being with that other parent, there is no reason in the world for you to keep the child from it. There's none. Now, if it's not a safe situation, by all means, don't. But like Keely said, you just explained it right now. The parent can't. You don't have to say, well, Daddy might get drunk and whoop your ass. That's the wrong thing to do.
You said really something
on a kid. Yeah, they will understand. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Margot, and that goes back to what we were talking about last night on my stream. You are a kid very short period of time.
Yeah.
And you have the rest of your life to be an adult. Let
Exactly.
your kids be kids. Because I'm going to tell you, I make no bones about it, I'm 51 years old. And yeah, my memory is bad because of a lot of things. But one of the things that is very hard for me to remember is specifics about being a kid. There are certain things that I remember, but those memories are getting further and further away from me. And
Yeah.
I miss those memories. So, and your kids, they're only going to be kids for a short period of time. Let them be a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah,
Let
let
them
them be. Let
enjoy
'em,
it.
yeah, without
Because
the worries,
y'all,
they don't need that worry on their head, do they? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? What's that?
yeah, I
How's that
mean,
going to
yeah,
help them? That's just going to give them complexes and possible
yeah.
mental health issues
And
and complexes around that no man can be a good dad and all that rubbish.
right.
You know,
It doesn't bring on anything positive. It doesn't do anything to help them. It just, like you said, give them complexes, give them issues. No telling what, And the thing is you got all your life to deal with all this crazy shit. We deal with all kinds of insanity every day, and some days are better than others. But the thing is that every day, at the end of the day, you're still an adult. You still have responsibilities, and you still have to do all this crap that you'd rather not be doing. But for a
yeah,
short period of time in your life, you get to have no responsibilities. You get to wake up and play. And the most exciting thing in your life might be going to the swimming pool or going to play at a friend's house. And that's what it should be.
yeah,
It
exactly. That's
shouldn't
exactly what
be,
it should be.
oh, I don't get to see daddy because he didn't give mommy enough money this week.
No.
You know what I mean? Please. I don't know. That's just one of my soapbox issues. Let your kids be kids.
Yeah, let
There's
them
no
be.
reason for any of the rest of this stuff.
I had the same thing with my parents. It confuses children. That's not fair. Exactly.
Exactly.
Let them be
Exactly.
innocent. Innocence is beautiful, as Margot
It
says.
really is.
Jumping in puddles
Yeah,
and
jumping
getting
in puddles.
muddy.
Oh, you're a
My-
Peppa fan, aren't you? Everybody loves to jump in puddles.
Jumping up and down in
I'm
muddy
telling
puddles.
my little granddaughter watches Peppa every day, singing Peppa Pig all day long, and they'll fall over laughing. Yeah,
Mine have got out of
yeah,
the Peppa Pig stage now, thank God. Oh, that used to peck my
yeah.
head constantly, one after the other. You start memorising them. Oh, I know what happens in this
Oh,
episode. Watched them that
mm-hmm.
very much. Let
Yes,
me get back to
yes.
this article. I'm sorry, I got triggered for a
Yeah,
minute.
because I've got about 15 minutes and then I've got to go to work. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, this
Yeah,
this is
well,
echoed. I'm sorry. Let me try
oh,
and
that's
get
you're
through
good.
this. It's not that
Yeah.
long. This is echoed by Baldwin and Depp in their additions to the book. Alex, 63, was embroiled in a controversial custody battle with first wife Kim Basinger over his daughter Ireland in 2002. I don't know if she's called Ireland or if it's in Ireland. I'm not sure. He
No,
said
I
that
think
this.
her name was Ireland. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's felt like the country Ireland.
Yeah.
He said that this led to him resenting the courts and the divorce industry. Johnny Depp has had a bitter court battle with ex-wife Amber Heard 4 years after their divorce. The actor sued the Sun for defamation after allegations of DV were levelled against Depp, and DailyMail.com has reported that the 58-year-old Hollywood star is supportive of Ellis's views, which make the book chilling for anyone navigating the accusations and trauma of modern American divorce. Johnny wrote, it's also both a diagnosis and a prescription, mediating the depth of crisis and escape. Greg Ellis straightens the record and breaks the myth of the divorce court. This is Greg's story, it's your story, and it's our story. If you're trapped in a dungeon, a family court system, the defendant must be your constant companion. Greg, who played Major Theodore Gross in the Disney film series, was an outspoken supporter of the actor in his court battle with Heard. He told DailyMail.com that his aims were to shed light on systems that he believes are contrary to the defendant, the term given to defendant in a divorce petition. He said that this often tends to be a husband and a father. Greg said, like many people who know Johnny for years in Hollywood, I think he is a great companion and a great dad. People believe that celebrities are unaffected by pain and suffering and changes in family law. So I knew what he was from the moment I knew it, and I support him. I have supported him and I stand beside him. Greg went on to allege that Depp was a victim of a targeted campaign by someone who was clearly seeking fame and infamy through his relationship, and then used a silver bullet of false accusations of DV. He added, if we're going to talk about toxic masculinity, I think we have to talk about toxic femininity.
I agree.
Lost his libel case against his son over an article that labelled him a wife beam. Baldwin's frank preference saw the actor admit he felt defeated and overwhelmingly remorseful after his marriage. He wrote, for the next few years I suffered and humiliated the California family law system, an entity that came to equate with a criminal organization defined by their casual willingness to pay me divorce money. That's a cat, by the way.
Oh.
When I was indignant at what I had experienced, as much as I wrote a book about that experience. Alec added, divorce courts, divorce mediation, custody evaluation, forensic accounting, it's all foreign land and most people, and I agree with the meaningless rules that govern it, the rules that can affect the rest. It's easy to lose your sanity in your life. One second.
It's fine.
Sorry, my cat meowing his head off then. Like, what's that sound?
It was wild when it first started. What the hell?
Was you looking around and stuff?
Yeah, I was like, what's happening? And where am I hearing that? I finally lost it.
You lost your
What
pineapples.
little I had left. Yeah, what little was left, it just left.
In the space of 100 years, we have completely reversed most equal rights. Men don't seem to have any. Exactly. It's gone from, like, we got to a point where it was near enough equal, and then it just, like, plateaued to females being believed for everything and men not being believed for anything. And obviously, like 100 years ago, whatever, it was the men who had the domineering power there. And it shouldn't be by gender, it shouldn't be by race or religion or creed or whatever. It should just be equal and at face back for being people. Shouldn't matter what's in your pants at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and like with family courts, and with anything to do with someone being accused of something, and that goes back to this whole thing with Johnny Depp and with the ACLU.
Yeah.
You should have to, before any major decisions, any major life decisions are made when there's children involved, especially. I feel like that there should have to be some kind of overwhelming proof. You know, not just her going in and being like, oh well, he whooped my ass. I want the kids, and he can't come nowhere near them. I don't think that should be. I don't think it should just be, we'll take the woman's word for it. I understand. Yeah, you know, you don't always have proof, but there's ways of getting proof. And I just feel like that there should be some compelling evidence to say look, we need to remove the kids away from this parent or whatever before they do that. And until they get that proof, I feel like that there should be either shared custody or, the kids stay with a family member or something until something can be worked out, because you're just uprooting kids' lives and you are putting the man most of the time, which is what happens, at an unfair advantage. And the thing is that a lot of times, like with Greg Ellis or with Alec Baldwin or even with Johnny Depp, they have the money to fight it. There a lot of times, most of the time, a lot of men aren't going to have the money to fight it,
Mm-hmm.
and they just have to give it up.
And it just goes to show that even with the money to fight it, how much they're getting slaughtered by the mainstream media and everybody in these bleeding political agendas about, to get votes and whatever else. I don't like going political because, but anyway, it just goes to show that in this day and age, people are using people's worries and woes for their own woke agendas as well. Linda says, I was very lucky, I say. I don't remember my parents being together, but I was never separated from any of them. They hated each other, but they never said anything nasty in front of me. I had both. Well, that's lovely.
It should be.
How it should be. So let me just go on this one as well. And Linda's saying, Mum had the main responsibility for me and I was with her, but she never kept Dad away. I was with him on weekends and he was over for birthdays and Christmas.
Yeah. And that's the way it should be. Like I said before, unless there is some kind of situation where the child would be put in danger to be with that parent alone anyway. Yeah, that's true. But unless there's a very real sense of danger, or the child is being put at risk to be alone with the parent, then what's going on between you and the spouse is between you and the spouse. Both of you should be doing everything you can, because that kid's life's being uprooted too.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do anything, but a lot of times the kid will feel like they're at fault. So both parents, regardless of how they feel about each other, should be doing everything they can to keep as much normalcy in the child's life as possible. Yeah. And it's not right. It's just not right. I mean, I don't know. And I think sometimes maybe it's me being a little bit naive, or not so much naive. It's just that I've always I expect people to act as I do. And, you get what you see. This is me. I treat people the way I want to be treated. And I know in today's world, that's probably not a good thing. It ends up getting me hurt a lot of times. But I give people the benefit of the doubt until they give me a reason not to trust them. So maybe that's, maybe it's being naive on my part, but I just feel like that there are ways to work things out if you're willing to work together. And if you have the best interest of your child at heart, even if you hate each other, you should be able to work something out. That's just the way I feel about it anyway. I know me and my husband, at the time we divorced, we could have strangled each other, but we both loved our kids and we worked that part out.
That's what it all should be. It breaks my heart that my kids can't see their dad. It really does. It breaks my heart, because I know how I felt growing up without my dad in my life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But
and I wish
dangerous for them to be around him.
Yeah, I wish to God I pray to God that they could see that, but they can. It's just not safe. It's not. It's it's not safe for them at all, and it's not safe for me. Like, they can't even do it in a secure setting or whatever because of the unstableness of his mental health, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. There are extenuating circumstances, and there are a lot of situations like yours. And you have to be safe, and you have to keep your children safe. But the thing is that's not always the case. That's more the exception to the rule. That's not, yes, it happens. And no, Keely's, oh, yeah, exactly. She is. And Keely is definitely not the only person that has experienced this. But more often than not, what ends up happening is people will use real life situations like what's happened to Keely, and they say, well, that's what happened to me. And they use it as a way to get back at their spouse when there's, it goes back to you're only hurting the child.
Yeah,
You
because
might think you're hurting the spouse, you're hurting the child.
Yeah, it's like they're punishing them or something.
Yeah.
And I've seen it on some mum groups as well, and it just knocks me sick. Where they're like, they're going on like, oh, like you said, if they're not giving me money, I'm not going to let them see the kid. It's like I've literally brought my 3 kids up on my own since my youngest was about 8 months old. Three of them, no financial help from the dad, nothing, just me on my own. But if money aside, if he was stable to be in their lives, even though we can't be together, that is something that I would want for my children, because that's what children need. They need both parents,
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Like my kid, like I said, my kids pine for their dad, and it breaks my heart that I can't give him that. I can't give him the dad. I can't be a dad. I can only be a mum at the end of the day.
Though too, by you saying to them, your father loves you, but right now he can't be in our family, that leaves the door open that if he gets the help he needs and he makes the changes in his life to where he becomes that stable person, where even if it was just if you got to a point you were able to let him, let the kids go see him for an hour or two somewhere, meet at McDonald's or something. It leaves the door open where if the changes that need to be made are ever made, then you can, and there's no guarantee that that'll ever happen, but that door is open there by just in how you've handled it. You've handled it in the correct way by saying, first of all, you're reinforcing that the father is not in their lives, not because they've done anything and not because he does not love them. He's not in their lives for reasons that you just can't discuss right now, but that he loves them. You've reinforced that he loves them. They've done nothing. That's all they need to know. And like I said, it leaves that door open because your situation is different as, with the things he's done, he may not ever be able to be. But if he is ever able to be, it's still open. And you've not built up a bias to where your kids are afraid of him. You've not built, to me, in the way I see the world and the way I see things, I think you've handled the situation correctly. And so many times it's not handled correctly because a lot of parents just, I don't get it. It's like they treat their kids like adults, and they're like, "Your dad's a horrible SOB," and the kids sitting there like, "What's wrong with Daddy?"
And exactly. And this is both ways, because there is single dads out there. There is only a few. There is single dads out there who don't let their mum see the child because of selfish reasons. It's so sad for any parent to be doing that, because the kid needs that balance, and the kid loves both parents, and they like, I remember being in school and seeing kids getting picked up by their mum and their dad, and when you're a child and you're growing up, that confuses you like a lot. And it makes you crave that relationship more, especially if you don't understand. And like you said, you do, as a child, you do think that you've done something wrong as well. Like I remember thinking that myself. And when both parents are calling each other, it's like when I was a teenager and I finally went and found my dad, he was calling my mum, even though I remember vividly what happened. My mum didn't do anything wrong, but he was calling my mum to me, and like, what? It's like there was stuff that he told me that was none of my business. It's like my
Mm-hmm.
mum and dad got together when my brother was about a year old, and my mum brought my brother up to think that my dad was his dad. And she never told him that he had a different dad. And my brother was still a kid when I finally met my dad. And my dad said to us, "Oh, by the way, your brother is only your half brother. He's not. I'm not his dad." Like that wasn't his job to say that at all.
Right.
Um,
No.
just as a spiteful thing, just to, to
Mm-hmm.
be spiteful. This is what I'm about: parents throwing things at the kids to be spiteful. It's like
Mm-hmm.
there's no need for it at all.
Yeah.
If you know what happened in your relationship had nothing to do with the child, had nothing. That wasn't their
Exactly.
fault. They're a baby. They're innocent. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to do your duty as a parent and keep your child safe.
Yeah.
You do that. You keep them safe, but don't confuse them and put in their head that the tell them when they're grown that the dad was an asshole. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny
When
to
they're old
tell
enough
them.
to handle it, tell
Yeah,
them. But
exactly.
when
You
they're
don't need to
little,
follow
don't do
them.
that to them. Well,
No,
I guarantee you, when your dad said that to you, do you think he was doing that because he felt like you and your brother needed to know? No, he was doing it because he knew you would go home and be like, "Mom, what's this about?" And
yeah,
Mom would be caught off guard, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I got the bitch."
yeah,
That's the mindset that so many parents have, and that's what's, you know, you and I have talked a lot about stuff like this, and I think most of y'all that are even in this chat knows that I'm adopted, and I always tell people that have adopted or hi JFD or
and Jeff.
are planning on adopting. My parents were honest with me from as long as I can remember. I knew I was adopted. Now they waited till I was 12 or 13 when they told me the entire situation of how I was adopted, who my biological mother was, and you know this is the thing, and it kind of goes along with what you're talking about here, is that they gave me enough information that I needed to know. You know, I didn't question it. Well, my mom even said, it made you special because we didn't have to have you; we wanted you. So,
You chose.
maybe she built up my confidence so that I didn't have a complex about it. And then when I was old enough that she felt like that I was able to comprehend why my mother had to give me up for adoption, and able to understand everything. And she told me, you know what? I grew up and I had a great relationship with my biological mother, who I just lost this past December. And I had a fantastic relationship with my mom, who I lost 5 years ago. So,
Yeah,
it could have been completely different. And the same goes with like what your dad did to you. There was no reason for him to do that other than the fact that he wanted to piss your mom off. He's like, yeah,
yeah,
I'll get that bitch. Yeah, because that did nothing to help you or your brother. It gave you questions, and like somebody said a while ago, it confused you. Like, what? Where'd this come from? So what was that doing for you? It was doing nothing. It was spite. And too many times parents do things thinking, well, I'm gonna get that one, and they'll tell the kids something they didn't need to know. There was no reason. Wasn't gonna change anything. Was not anything that was going to, save their lives or anything. It is just I've told them that because I want to piss the ex off. Why?
yeah.
What's the point? You know. It's no different. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I am adopted, and I was adopted at birth, and my biological mother was 15 when she had me. And, she was not able to raise a daughter, and I understand. But, the fact that I knew all my life, I never questioned it. I mean, I just found out 3 or 4 years ago who my biological father was or is. I mean, man's still alive. I call him the sperm donor. He told her when she found out she was pregnant with me that she couldn't be sure I was his, and that was the last time she saw him.
Oh,
And so, I tell people I have a father. My dad, who raised me, is my father. And, and that's the thing. If you will treat your children, no matter what the situation is, you'll treat them with love, respect. Thank you. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I got to be blessed with two moms. But if you will treat your children with the love and respect that every human being deserves, and if you will keep in mind that no matter what the situation is with your ex, they didn't do anything to cause it. And it's not their responsibility to deal with your bullshit. And it's not their responsibility to deal with your pain. It's your responsibility to be a parent and to do what's best for your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Tammy
I
knows
do.
all the
Yeah, I
kids.
do know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My biological mother and my adopted mother were first cousins. I'm on a live stream. I'm about to get through and go to work. My husband just came in. But yeah, so I got to. Oh, you were adopted too. Cool. Yeah, I got to know both of them. You know, I got to know everybody, and I respect my. You were adopted too. Yeah, and I respect my biological mother. She couldn't write. I mean, she was the same. She wasn't married. She lived with her parents, and she was a kid. She didn't know anything. I couldn't imagine at 15 having a kid. Here she was. She had a kid. She moved in with my mom and dad until she had me, and then she went back home. Yeah, and so yeah, when you're adopted, that's one thing that I think every parent that adopts a child should tell them is that we didn't have to have you. We wanted you.
Yeah, we
And I think
wanted.
yeah, made me feel special. I always thought I was special.
We chose you, and that
That's
is
right.
that does make you special, and a special relationship between
Yeah,
your parents.
yeah,
And that's the amazing thing. And like this, what we spoke about, unfortunately, is very, very common at the
hmm
moment, especially around legal battles for custody or whatever,
yeah,
um, where it's genderized as the mum being the better parent for some reason. Well, and that's not always the case. That the mum isn't always the best parent for the child.
mm-mm,
Just because you're a woman doesn't always make you maternal at the end of the
right,
day. Um,
mhm,
you know, and I've thankfully, like, I didn't experience that because my mum is very maternal,
yeah,
very loving. She brought her 3 kids up on her own since my brother was 6. So,
mm.
like, she went through what she went through, and then she brought us all up, and she did an amazing job. Well, I think she did anyway.
Oh yeah, you're an
Um,
awesome person. So she did something right.
Thank you. Well, I think she did all right. She did all right. Like, she was 2 jobs and trying to do everything on her own. Do you know what I mean? Like, she'd
Yeah.
get no help off him. It wasn't about him for her, about money or whatever for her. It was just about keeping us safe, keeping her safe,
hmm
and bringing us up in a safe environment. And that's
hmm
what it should be like. Do you know what I mean? It should be
Yeah.
that everybody everybody is safe. JFD says, I'm adopted, but I don't know my birth
Oh,
parents as well,
there's a
Dad.
lot of adopted ones in here. See, we're all special. We're all chosen.
Yeah, you're chosen. Fran said that as
That's
well. She
right.
says, you're special to JFD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
she was chosen.
Yeah. And well, like you were talking about, the mom is not always the best one being maternal. Yeah. My husband and I have his childhood friend of his that he has 5 children, and his ex, when the children were all still young, I mean, like one was still in diapers, or maybe 2 were still in diapers. I don't know. They were all, very young. The mother just
Mm,
up and left, never came back, never tried to see the kids. And it wasn't because he was, abusive or anything like that. She met a guy, gone. So, the mom is, just because it's a mother doesn't mean she's maternal. Most
no.
of the time, they are, but there are the situations where, like Gina says, especially younger sisters, definitely not maternal. Yeah. And, yeah, and having kids removed, you hear that every day. That's all too common. So, that's why I think another reason I think that, when you get into family court, divorce court, it shouldn't automatically be that the mother is automatically given custody.
No.
Awesome.
No, it
Keep her
shouldn't. And
yeah.
this goes, and not just this, but also in DV cases and that as well. There should
Yeah.
be further evidence to be backed up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't
Yeah.
be just that the woman is believed. Do you know what I mean?
And
Especially when there's statements involved. Like,
yeah.
I had a police officer, one of my witnesses, who was there, who took me to the hospital. That is the difference between me and Amber, is that she had a police officer come and see that she was safe and she was fine. And I had a police officer who came and saw that I was pregnant, I'd been attacked, and I had a big, massive black eye, and I needed to go make sure my child was okay. I was growing inside my stomach. And so I had that police officer backing me up. Amber didn't have a police officer backing her up, but she was still believed.
Exactly. And that's usually what happens in family court. Usually you just go and to get the restraining order to start with, you just go normally and fill out some paperwork and give them, tell them what happened. Well, you look at Amber's 7 witness statements. That's basically what you do to get a restraining order is you give a witness statement. So first of all a woman has to do is walk into any courthouse and say, I've been, and she's taken at her word. Well, when you've got children involved, oh, wow. That's awesome, Jeff D. So were you adopted as a baby, or how were you older when you were adopted? But while I'll wait on her to answer, there needs to be more.
Sorry, that is. Was you adopted while she was? I'm being nosy now. Was you adopted? Was you adopted while she was still in South Korea? Is that what you're saying? When she was saying I was born in South Korea, then moved to the States when I was adopted at 7 months old.
Oh,
I love it when we can all be a bit, because obviously we can't all tell our personal lives or whatever.
Yeah.
But the bits that we can share, it's good to be able to share that, to feel closer to each other.
Yeah, and you find out more things that we have in common because, we were all brought together over the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. But, as we have little breaks here where there's not as much coming out and we get to talk and stuff, you find out more things that we have in common. And, I think it's neat, because, you get to know a little bit more about the person. And I love getting to know everybody, y'all get to see us, which of course you get to see Jeff D, but we don't get to see all y'all. So it's fun to find out stuff, it just helps you to know that person a little bit more.
Yeah, it does.
Which I do have to say, I'm gonna have to go here in just a minute. I do have to go to work. I'm supposed to have left about 30 minutes ago, but we've had a good conversation. And I've missed hanging out with you and with everybody else. So,
Well, I've missed hanging out with you. I'm gonna end it here then, because I need to have a quick 2-second word with you backstage before you jump off. But thank you all for coming. I am going to make a thumbnail for this stream, a new thumbnail, because of what we've spoken about, to try and get more people coming in, watching it back. Because it's an important subject, this sexism, this genderism around the courts and around parents in general. So I'll make a new thumbnail for this, and I'm going to be doing a dream stream tomorrow, 10:30 p.m. UK, 5:30 p.m. EST. So I'm going to have a panel on. That's one thing I'm going to ask Tammy about in a minute, because she said she's going to come on, but I need to make sure. But make sure you like, and I'll see you all for the next one, guys. Take care.
Bye. Bye.